On a Saturday morning, attending a new Teaching with Technology webinar. It's great to have you all. My name is Pamela Alfie. I am the e-volunteer coordinator at English Online. I'll be moderating this session. And English Online is very happy to have invited today John Allen as our guest speaker. This is actually the second time John presents with us. So I would like to give a short bio about John. He's a teacher trainer, author, blogger, and an instructional developer with 30 years of experience in the USA, Canada, UAE, and Qatar. Where he's currently based for now. His focus on applications of education technologies has resulted in a wide variety of training materials and in-class learning opportunities. He's also a frequent presenter at education conferences, webinars, and workshops, and we're very happy to have him with us today. So the floor is all yours. You can begin whenever you're ready, John. So as I've added a little bit earlier, feel free to jot down. Yes, thank you very much, Kate. Ewan, feel free to jot down, where you are currently based, what you do. And some housekeeping rules before John starts. Please keep your microphones muted for the time being. Yeah, if it things are allowed, then John will ask you to respond to certain questions along the way. I've added 5 PDFs to the website. So they will be handy. Hopefully they'll be handy for you to use them. And it's going to be interactive when, John lets you know. Thank you very much.
Okay.
Yes, John, go ahead, please.
I know I just blipped out again. Is it possible to give me the controls again? I'm sorry.
Okay, no worries.
Yeah, these are all my dumb mistakes.
No. So. Yes, here you go. Oh.
Okay, well, while that's happening, hi everybody. We have a nice small group tonight, so honestly, if you want to ask questions, I'll do my best to keep my eye on the chat window, and maybe we can handle a lot of them there. I'd like to just get through the first bunch of slides, though, just to make sure that everybody has an overall idea about the tool we're talking about. And so, with that, oh, thank you. I've got the controls now. We can start. Okay, so we're going to be talking about creating engaging, interactive learning objects for your lessons. I use these mostly as blended learning objects. So a learning object can be anything. It can be, learning object can be a worksheet. A learning object can be an audio clip, or a lot of times I, have interactivity integrated into videos, or interactivity into my my formative assessments, activities that I do that check. So a learning object can loosely be anything, but in this case, we're looking at learning objects created with the tool H5P, and we'll talk about a lot about that through this. Okay. Okay, my name is John Allen. I've been a Tesla Ontario member since 1988, so that puts me quite a long time ago. I'm a Canadian, of course. I've been working in Qatar now this is my 10th year. I'm working on a Canadian project for the government of Newfoundland in Doha. I work in the EFL, English as a Foreign Language Department, and being over here, I've had the luxury of using all sorts of great technologies and a little bit of freedom because there's not a lot to do at night here, to experiment with things. During the day, I teach intermediate English. I train teachers, and I develop learning objects. I'm also a TESOL Ontario blogger and a blogger for eLearning World. A lot of this stuff is applying technology to the classroom use. Okay, first of all, I'd like to find out, have any of you ever created online learning objects, like a quiz or something like that? Oh, this is great. Can you just hit yes or no, please? Everybody can join if you want. Okay, I'll publish this. Okay, so we've got a very different audience. I ran this in Ontario this summer, and less than 10% of the people said they had tried something. So in the chat window, if possible, because we have so few participants, this is nice. Can you just type in a tool you used to make these online learning objects? Don't be shy. Just in the chat window, you can just type in Moodle or oh, Kahoot counts. Yeah, of course. I used Kahoot last week. Kahoot's nice. Anybody else? Moodle and Kahoot, yeah. Does anybody use Quizlet? Quizlet at all? No? Yes? Well, I guess not. Oh, yes, you do. Pam, do you use it? Do you make Quizlets, or do you? Ewan, do you use Quizlet? Do you make Quizlet study sets, or do you just use ones that are already there? Yeah, making them is nice because it customizes the learning experience for your students. That's good. Okay, so we have some people who've made some learning objects. That's great. Okay, and then here is, if so, what tool did you use? So there's all sorts of options here. There's hot potatoes if you've been around in this profession for a while. Blackboard, Moodle, and Brightspace, they are all learning management systems. So you would make your learning objects right in the LMS. And Respondus was an older, but still useful. It's still a useful tool that you could do all sorts of things and put them into WebCT or Blackboard. CP there is Adobe Captivate, very, very expensive, very labor intensive to get decent, really good results. But the learning curve's pretty steep there. Yeah, hot potatoes is great. I've still used that once in a while when nothing else fits the need. So okay, so there's all sorts of options out there, and I've been using these things for a long time, and I found that this new tool, relatively was over 4 years old, H5P, is something that I really think is a game changer if you're going to make online learning objects, and I'd like to share it with you. Okay, so H5P is an online e-learning authoring tool that publishes to HTML5. Now HTML5, I'm not sure, I'm pretty sure everybody would know what HTML is, hypertext markup language. It's basically the language that all web pages speak. So over 25 years or so, they generated HTML5, which is the new version, most current version. And H5P takes advantage of a lot of the features of HTML5. For example, if you make a learning object in H5P, it will scale automatically, or it will respond to your end user's device or the student's device. So if they have a workstation, if they have an iPad, if they have a mobile phone, if they have a laptop, the content actually considers how many columns, and then it reshapes the content. It's just like if you go to, say, for example, I go to NHL.com, and if I look at it on my big workstation, it looks one way. But if I look at it on my device, on the move or on my mobile phone, it will cascade to a different view, but I will get the same content. Okay, not maybe the exact view, but I get everything that's on the website in a different format. So when you make learning objects in H5P, you don't really have to worry about how it's going to appear because the program does it for you. And I know that if you've been using hot potatoes for years, that was a frustrating thing. You have to be really careful. Or all sorts of, especially Captivate. You can spend hours and hours trying to figure out how to have that happen. But now with H5P, you don't have to think about it. You just you focus on the content and you focus on the learning. Okay, so before we actually get talking even deeper into this, I'd like you to just try a quick activity online. And this is just a quick quiz. There will be a movie to look at. Please only look at 5 seconds of the movie before you answer the question. So at this point, if you could go into the chat window and copy the link that I've just posted there, and I'll call you back in about 4 minutes. And if you are back, could you please, in the users area on the left-hand side of the screen, click on the status icon, which is the little happy face, and raise your hand to indicate that you are finished. And then I know I can continue. Okay, so please go to this activity. I'll call you back in 4 minutes. Thank you. If you're having any difficulty, please text me or type in the chat box. Thanks, Megan, for coming back and showing me your happy face. Okay. Okay, everybody, even if you're not finished, is it possible to come back to the big blue button and indicate that you're back by clicking on the happy face icon or your status icon under the names on the left-hand side? And just click on an icon to indicate that you're back with us. I have a hand. Megan has a smiley face. Jackie has a smiley face. Andrea has a smiley face. Okay. Yuan, can you use the status icon? And Kate, on the left-hand side, it's faster for us to see how progress is if you indicate it there. Thanks. Thanks a lot. Yeah, are you with us? Okay, so that's how we're going to do 3 more of those where we go out and we do a little more sophisticated things. So I'm hoping that you get a gist that there's different kinds of activities. It's very intuitive to use. This is the first sort of technology enhanced language learning tool I've used ever, where the students don't need all sorts of assistance to get started and get moving forward. I think you'll find that too once you start using it. Okay, so I'm going to move along to the next slide. Can you, am I clear? Can you clear your status, your happy face status, by clicking on the icon and choosing clear? Thank you, thank you, thank you. Thank you, Bushra. Thank you, Kate. Kate, can you just clear the... Yeah, lovely, thank you. Okay, so here we go. So we're going to do 3 more of those, but in the meantime, I'm going to just talk a bit more about H5P to give you an idea. Okay, so it's H5P is a tool with minimum license barriers. It's an open source, it's an open online development platform. So if you use h5p.org, it's free. And it's really, really easy to learn. I've run maybe 10 or 12 training sessions, and I've made all sorts of learning, self-propelled learning guides for different clients, and they all report that it's the easiest thing that they've done. Okay, and you should find that too once you get into it. As was mentioned earlier, I've made 5 how-to guides on all of the really essential features for language teachers, and they're all step-by-step. You can download them or grab them from the EOA website where they've been placed by Pam. Okay, so you can create H5P learning objects, as I said, on h5p.org. That's the free site. You just sign up for a license and start creating. Or there's the h5p.com site. Now that is 15, I think it's US dollars a month. And what that gives you is privacy, more archiving, and a lot more features. Like, for example, if you want to do an interactive video, you're going to see interactive videos later, but if you're going to do one, there's an unlimited size of your video. So you could upload Titanic, for example, you wouldn't because of copyright, and then use that. Rather than right now, you could only upload a 30-second video with h5p.org. So it's something you could consider. You can actually use H5P within different systems, such as inside of Moodle. I develop all sorts of H5Ps for different clients inside of Moodle. You just go in and they have the H5P engine and you just develop inside. Nobody from the outside world sees it, only you and your clients and your students. You can also do that in Canvas, Brightspace, WordPress, I know a Drupal, and I think Blackboard, I think. And then also, when you make an H5P and h5p.org or h5p.com, you can just use an embed code and drop them in, or bring them into these resources and manipulate them within Moodle set. So it's pretty flexible. It's pretty transferable, transportable. And as you can see, these are quite important companies when it comes to e-learning and blended learning. H5P started off in Norway and through a government fund. And part of that opening contract, I believe, was having an open community that shares their new features regularly. So every month or so, I get an email and it tells you that what's been improved and what new features are going forward on H5P. It's sort of like Moodle in the early days where all sorts of ideas come up and people start developing them. Sometimes they come to a publishable standard, and sometimes they sort of languish in beta. But since I've been using it, I can't get over the progress and how much better the tool is for educators and students. It does share, it's planning on sharing all of its libraries globally. A lot of the stuff is open and free, but I think right now it's not as open as free as I thought it would be. However, that there's a cost recovery factor here where the company actually has to start making some money. So they have the h5p.com, and so much stuff is shared out. It's amazing. The actual functional libraries are free and open. So if you have a development team, which probably in education nobody has, you can grab them and enhance them. But they are still open. So you as a teacher can use it as a development tool to create more than 35 kinds of learning objects. Now those are separate objects we'll look into more carefully in a few minutes. And what happens with these is by putting them together like a Lego set, you have limitless combinations of learning events. It's actually quite exciting. I was on a project for a few months for a college in Southern Ontario, and they gave me a whole curriculum, a whole syllabus, and a bunch of concepts, a bunch of activities on paper, and I was given a free hand to interpret them into this. And I used Moodle and I used H5P, and the results were more than unexpectedly successful and happy. We piloted it, and the one comment was from the students and the teachers was how intuitive the tool was and how they didn't have to spend too much time bringing the students up to speed on how to use the tools. They could just use them. And a lot of them use them on tablets, and a lot of them use the tools on iPhones or mobile phones. Okay, so learning objects that you can create include games. There's image matching and memory. There's a full audio recorder. I use that for my students when I want them to record something that's crisp and clean and then have it emailed to me. Interactive videos, you'll see one. There's about 25 things you can do that are layered over top of a video to make it much more engaging and interactive, and it gives the students more responsibility for their viewing. A flashcard, something like Quizlet. You can create timelines, which is a good thing for teaching tense, and if you're a history teacher. Of course, branching scenarios is something that we used to do a lot in ESL. I've recently made a few of these. They're very labor intensive, but the results are amazing. For example, a business maze where they go in for an interview or some sort of business interaction, some scenario, but they can actually be simulated through H5P. Image collages are good for the lower levels to get them speaking. There's a virtual tour, it's a virtual 360 tour, sort of like Google Expeditions, where they go into a virtual space, and then you can have the questions pop up right in the virtual space, and they have to react in there. It's pretty cool. And then there's quizzes themselves, like what most of us think blended learning objects are limited to. However, that's just only one of these items. So there's something called a quiz thing that they have, a quiz item that they have set up in H5P. It's called a question set. And inside of a question set, you can have unlimited combinations of these, a closed questions, multiple choice questions, single choices where they see a bunch of things, they click on it and they don't have to click on submit or check. True and false, drag and drop text and mark the words. So if you hit every verb or something like that, you can just hit that and check to see if they can recognize the words. All of everything I'm talking about, Yuan, is free, yes. So this is a question set is one of the most powerful ones for people when they start out in education, because this is what these are the online learning objects they're familiar with. Then we have something called course presentation. Now, course presentation is pretty cool because what it does is it allows you to have all sorts of different learning objects, like a drag and drop with pictures, a true and false, a multiple choice, a video, a listening activity with questions, all in the same module. So, and imagine that it goes on a slider, it goes, and so you can have a whole module, whole unit here. And I'm going to show you like one with only 4 or 5 slides because we don't have a lot of time, but you will be able to see and create one even bigger than this soon. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to invite you for about 2 minutes just to check this one out. It's about raspberries. It's very small. It's just dipping your toe into this. Just try this activity out. It's in the chat window. Just try that out and try it out for about 2 minutes and come back, please. And if you come back, please indicate that you're back with your hand up in the users box, please, on the left-hand side. Okay, that was pretty straightforward. Thank you for indicating that you're back. I'll wait another 30 seconds or so. Okay, can you indicate if you're back, please? Thank you. Okay, I'm going to assume that everybody is back. Can you clear your icon in the users window? Thank you. Clear, so I know that you're focused here. That's awesome. Okay, so the course presentation, if you're looking at it, that didn't look like very much because you just did a couple things. But imagine you could put one of 34 to 40 different kinds of learning events inside of there. So you could have them do some sort of a warmer, then a pre-reading, then a reading with about 10 questions. And the questions can be compacted onto one slide. Then they can go into a video, and then they can do an audio. And they can have all sorts of combinations on each slide, and you can move it across. And at the very, very end, the last slide with the line and the star, it always provides a score based on the slides. And the cool thing about this is, like, for me, it's quite exciting. It was super exciting 3.5, 4 years ago when I discovered this, is if you put this inside of Moodle or D2L or Brightspace or Canvas, all of these different kinds of learning management systems, because they're HTML5, they report the score directly to the LMS. So they will create a gradebook item for you, and then they will actually report the score. And so you can keep track of what the students are doing. That's quite a beautiful, lovely thing to have when you're making learning objects, so that the students have some sort of accountability, and you can actually track what the progress is. Okay, so we're going to see another example of course presentation, but the next tool is something called columns. And if you look at course presentation, it's a rectangle on your screen, and everything statically slides into that like slides, right? But what if you have students that have tablets? So what happened with what the people at H5P did is they developed something called the column feature. And the column feature, everything starts at the top, all of the activities start at the top, and then the students just slide up and the content moves downwards. So this unit here you're going to look at is focused on a dog. It's a unit about a module of a dog, but it has some grammar and things in it, and some comprehension questions and some vocabulary. But if you look on the right-hand side of this screen, you can see that these are all of the kinds of activities that you can actually potentially put into a column activity. So that's quite powerful. It's actually kind of overwhelming. So what I am going to invite you to do, so I'd like you to spend 5 minutes with this activity. You don't have to answer all of the questions, but if you could just go here, and I will give you 5 minutes, and I'll call you back in 5 minutes. Some of you might not be done, some of you might be done, but we'll give it 5 minutes, okay? Thank you, Megan. Thank you, Pam. Okay, it's you don't have to complete all of the questions if you don't want to. I know I said it. I was going to set that at 5 minutes, but once all of you are back, I'll explain what I've done. Once again, if you come back, can you please indicate by giving me a smiley face or some sort of indication that you are here in the users box on the left-hand side. Thank you. Okay, so pretty well we're all back. That's great. I gotta say I'm sorry. That was a column activity with a reading and two comprehension questions. One was more vocabulary based, and the other one was comprehension questions. I have at this college in Southern Ontario about 7 other activities in their column, and it's hidden behind their college LMS. So I can't actually point to it. So I sort of made an error there. But if you can imagine, it has audio, it has all sorts of different things that would have made that activity longer. But you get the gist, is that you can do something and have the student swipe up and down on a device. So if you use Chromebooks or something like that, this might be a good option for you. Okay, so the third thing I want to show you is it's called interactive video. Now the interactive video, I think is the most powerful tool. I use it when I have a concept or a unit that I want the students really to dig deep into. And so what it is you go to YouTube or you upload one of your videos to YouTube, you go into H5P, you point to that video, and then you can add these elements: multiple choice questions, closed questions, drag and drop questions, summary questions, full quiz, mark the word activities where you target words in a text that you identify, maybe the nouns and the activity, drag and drop text, drag and drop images. You can add images, tables, labels, text, and hyperlinks to different activities. And the best part about this is it overlays over the video. It's not like TED Ed videos or TED Ed lessons, or it's not like Ed Puzzle, where the question goes on top or to the right of the video. You get maximum video viewing, and the students interact with the video over top of the video. So we're going to look at this video about robotic teachers in Korea. I'd like you to work through it for 5 minutes and come back and tell me what you think. So the video itself can be found here. Oops. And can you take 5 minutes and see if you can see this? Hi, Megan. If you're back and you have any comments on that, can you type them in the chat box on the interactive video? Gian, was it eye-opening because you've never seen robotic teachers before, or the H5P interactive video? Johan, do you mean robots or H5P? Oh, okay, good. Yeah, I agree. It's kind of odd, but we think it's funny because we have a unit on robots taking over the world in one of our Oxford books, so we use this as a video in it. Okay, could you indicate that you're back? Hopefully everybody's finished watching the interactive video. Could you indicate by clicking on the status icon, the little happy face in the user's window on the left-hand side? Okay, so could you please clear your, thank you, Andrea. Can you now clear your status in the user's window, please? Right. There are some really, really cool features about that interactive video, and if you've been using Edpuzzle or other tools, it's incredible what it can do, and the authoring or editing and creating, as you'll find from one of the handouts at the end of the session, is quite straightforward. There's nothing tricky about it. Okay, so I just want to show you another example of combining the column feature with the presentation feature. So this one's about hockey, more about Wayne Gretzky, I think it's just about hockey. So if you go to this one, I'm going to put in the chat window. I'd just like you to look at it for about 2 or 3 minutes. You don't have to do any of the activities. And if you look, it goes down in a vertical fashion, and then it hits, then all of a sudden a course presentation appears. So what happens is that the learning goes horizontally. So you can actually embed the course presentation feature, and you can also embed the interactive video feature into a column, which is pretty amazing. So can you check this out for 2 minutes and come back, please? The link to click on is in the chat window. You'll also notice that there's an audio player in that column activity. And if you go down to the bottom and click across the course presentation at the bottom, I think the 5th slide has a full video from the Hockey Hall of Fame. So you can embed videos just as regular videos. Okay, we're running out of time, so could you please come back to the big blue button, and once again, can you click on the status icon to indicate you're back? Thanks, Megan, Jackie, Kate, Andrea, Gian, Juan. Okay, can you take your status off? Can you clear your status, please? Thank you very much. Okay, so you saw that feature had an integration of all sorts of different features. So that's another fantastic reason to use H5P, because these things are just like very, very flexible Legos. They go all over the place. So you can structure the sequencing of your learning. And you can also, have jumps between slides and course presentation. That's not part of this presentation or this session, but you can do all sorts of that. You can have your own navigation. Yeah, it is, Kate, I agree. So I'll just continue here. So it's a development tool that not only gives you all of these free abilities to make great learning objects, it has just-in-time support through fantastic exemplars. So if you go to the h5p.org site or the h5p.com site, if you're on something, say like, I don't know, the mix and match game, if you click on it and you don't really know what it is, you can click and you'll see a bunch of examples. And not only that, is that you can actually download those examples, put them on your account, and that allows you to crack them open and see how they did things, how they set stuff up. So that's pretty simple. There's no scripting or programming at all in H5P at our level. It's easy. They have step-by-step job aids inside of H5P. So for most of the features, they have that set up right now. And then also, while you're developing, the drag and drop of images is a little bit tricky. And what happens is, and with really complicated tools, the ones that are sort of complicated, little tips will pop up and say, are you sure you want to do this? Or this is what you'll do next. Okay, so they do provide nice intuitive support. H5P development inside of a learning management system. So this is what it would look like inside of Moodle. So somebody on your LMS, your learning management system at your college or your center would have to put the plugin, it's called, inside of D2L, Brightspace, Blackboard, Canvas, or Moodle, or WordPress. And then all you do as an end user or as a teacher, you just go add an activity, click H5P, and then all of H5P is wide open inside of your learning management system. So you can just work on it and make the things inside of your course, which is amazing. Okay, and inside of Moodle, for example, if you see, that's how the links would be on the left-hand side. In my courses, I changed that H5P icon to a very elegant looking cube for quiz, but it depends on the client or the school. So if they click on H5P true false question with image, on the right-hand side, that's how it would appear inside of Moodle. So you get all this functionality and it will embed beautifully inside of Moodle or an LMS, which is pretty powerful. And as I said, as a bonus, when the students do it, it reports directly, the results directly to the gradebook. Okay, another thing to look out for when you're working on h5p.org or h5p.com is the download, the usage rights, and the embed code. The download is great if you see something you really, really like even on my account, I've got 400 of them on there. If you hit download, you can get a zip file and then upload it into your H5P account and then open it up and it's yours. Okay? Usage rights, generally, anything I do, I just leave wide open. But click on the usage rights and usually it's open source for non-commercial rights. And then the embed is a beautiful feature. So if somebody's made an H5P somewhere and you really like it, click on the embed, you get the embed code, then you just pop that into your school course, your learning management system course, and then it will appear inside of your course. So you can put that in there without doing a lot of work. So now we've come to the how-to guides, and the how-to guides, I've made these things as detailed and as step-by-step as possible. I've run them through about 20 workshops with face-to-face folks. So you're welcome to have these and work on them they will tell you how. The first one is on just how to set up your H5P account and how to make a multiple choice question, a true false question, and a fill in the blank question. The second one is if you want to do a course presentation, like the horizontal style of presentation. The third one is making an interactive video. That's a lot of fun. The fourth one shows you how to do the columns, make a columns activity. And the fifth one shows you how to do the question sets, which really is a quiz with 6 different kinds of questions: true, false, multiple choice, close, all of those. So you're welcome to use those. If you have any feedback, I'd really like to hear your feedback, for sure. Okay, so that's it for now, and I think we have a few minutes for questions. So I think, Pam, at this point, you sort of take the helm, right? So I'm open to questions. I'll be looking at the chat window.
Okay.
I think I put them all to sleep.
Feel free if you have any questions, please. I'll just upload. There's a question from Gian here, John.
Yes?
Can you mention a little bit about copyright?
Okay, well, the thing about copyright, from the perspective of you making these H5Ps, of course, the H5P tool is free, and you have the ability to set the copyright when you publish your H5P learning object. So you can say it's copyright by me, you can say it's Creative Commons, there's all sorts of options that you can appear. And also you should adhere to copyright standards. So you just can't go out and just grab pictures and movies and put them in. The normal copyright rules apply. I use something like Unsplash to get to source my images. I'm sorry, Unsplash, I'll put it there. To source images, and I just think it's common sense, but if somebody has an H5P out there and you click on copyright and the copyright says free to use and alter, as long as it's not for commercial purposes, then you can take it and use it as you wish. The most challenging experience using H5P, Megan, is, or has been, getting my colleagues on board so I can actually lessen my burden, because I churn out about 20 of them a week for different things that I do. I have run a lot of workshops. I've made a full actual digital book on it for a client. As far as learning it, it's the easiest thing I've ever done. I've written a full manual on hot potatoes. That was really difficult, because you have to make it easy enough for the average teacher to use it, because they're not so technical. I love this because there's no scripting or coding involved. You just get them in there and get them going and get their confidence. Okay, Yuan, I would say if you want to learn this, you just grab those 5 how-to guides and start from the first one, and it will show you how to sign up. It will show you how to get going, and that's all you do it at your own pace. If you want digital copies of those, they are on my, the digital copies are available to you. Okay, and PV certificate time.
Okay.
It's your turn, yeah.
Yeah, so please feel free, if you'd like to request any PD certificates, to email me, and this is my email address here, plafi@myenglishonline.ca. Within 1 hour of the end of the session, I'll be glad to respond to you within like 48 hours or so. Thank you very much. I would like to thank you all for attending this webinar, and I would like to thank John as well for being our guest speaker today. It's our pleasure, and we hope to have a third one in the near future to continue with what we started here. So if there are no more questions, we wish you a lovely Saturday.
Could I just ask, Pam, if you could tell them exactly where to get the how-to guides on your system?
Okay, I just added them to the same link where you that was the posting, where there was the posting.
Okay.
Where you entered, where there was the button to enter the room, and you can just click on them and download them. So
Okay.
let me just what I can do is I'll get the link. Just a second. Give me a second, please. All right, so you can just click on that and then